Hi everyone, welcome to At Home with AJ. I'm glad that you could welcome the Kingsville Public Library into your home today and for joining me in mine. Today we're going to make a very unusual cake that was shared from a very good friend of mine, and she called it cockeye cake. I call it wacky chocolate cake. And the reason that it's really cool is because it's one of the few recipes I have for a baked good cake like this that doesn't need an egg. I don't know if you've ever had that dilemma where, gee, I really want or need to whip up a cake, but I don't have any eggs. Well, if you're ever in that spot, this recipe is going to save you. But we're going to take it one step further. We're going to make it into a fancy dessert. So it's one of those things you can kind of throw together really quickly, turn it into something fancy, and it'll look really neat, even though you didn't work that hard. One of the other things we're going to do is we're going to make some of that caramel deliciousness. If you haven't watched a video before where we do this, it's super easy. You're going to take a can of sweetened condensed milk, you're going to drop it in a pan of water or a crock pot full of water. Make sure your water covers the top. You're going to boil it for about 2 hours. When you open it up, it will be yummy, delicious caramel goodness, and I'll show you how we're going to use that today. So let's get started. Remember, you'll be able to find the recipe and ingredients right below this video in the comment section. But you will need some flour, some sugar, which we're going to go ahead and combine our dry ingredients, some baking soda, some baking powder, or this is not baking powder, this is cocoa powder, and some salt. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of mix that all together. Remember that you do want to put salt in any time that you're baking. That helps that chemical reaction that needs to take place in order for things to rise and react to each other, help all those ingredients to bond. It's science, man. So once you have that kind of all lovely and pretty together, we're going to add our liquids, which I got to grab a cup of water out of the refrigerator because for some reason the water needs to be cold. I'm not really sure why, but it does. Now here's the other really weird thing about this cake. In addition to the fact that it doesn't take an egg, we are going to dig, just like in the sand, we're going to dig 3 little holes here. And we're going to pour our oil into one hole. We're going to pour our vanilla in another hole. Our vinegar in the last hole. And we're going to pour our water over top of the whole thing, our cold water over top of the whole thing. And then we're just going to mix it until it's smooth. And we're just going to mix it by hand. So once we have it nicely mixed, we're going to pour it into a 9x9 square pan, and we're going to place it in a 350-degree oven. So after about 30 to 40 minutes, your cake will be done. You can go ahead and pull it out of the oven. You do the little touch test where it springs back when you touch it, or the toothpick test. And you're just going to let it sit cool for about 15 minutes before you flip it onto a cutting board. If you choose to do it that way for the next step, you can leave it in the pan and put topping on it, or you can cut it from the pan. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. So we're going to let our cake cool, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with mine next. Once your cake has cooled, you can either flip it out onto a cutting board or cut it from inside the pan, or you don't need to cut it into squares at all. If you just want to top your cake and take it like that, you certainly could. But we're going to change this into a little fancier dessert. I have pulled my sweetened condensed milk out of my boiling water, and we now have this yummy sort of caramely syrup stuff that we're going to use here. Absolutely delicious. And we're going to put together some fancy little desserts that really weren't a lot of work, but will look like it is. So I have these cool little dessert dishes that my friend Judy gave me at a little white elephant exchange because she's fabulous. If you don't have a BFF Judy, which I'm very sad for you if you don't, they actually have something similar to this at the Dollar Tree. They're plastic, but they would work just as cool if you like this kind of thing. If you don't have a glass like this and you don't have a BFF like Judy, if you have like a wine glass or a champagne flute, you can use one of those. If you have just kind of a little, we call them salsa dishes at our house, and this one I've already put some whipped cream in around the side, you can kind of fancy that up. Just use whatever you have on hand, or put it in a bowl. Just make it look pretty. So as I said, I've kind of cut my cake into sort of squares, and what we're going to do at this point is we're just going to take our squares and drop them into our cup, and then we're going to just, oh, I also have some pecans here and some shaved chocolate. And we're just going to drizzle a little bit of our yummy caramel goodness on there. Just like so. And then a little pecan. A little more chocolate. We'll repeat the process. This is just a nice little dessert. Again, if you're having company and you want to have something after a big meal, it's not a lot. It is very rich, especially the caramel sauce. So a couple bites is all you need. And even if somebody's watching, maybe they don't, really want to do dessert because they're trying to watch what they're eating. A couple little bites won't hurt anybody, right? A little more pecan, and then you can fancy it up and you can put a little whipped cream on top. I really should put this in a bag and squirt it, but I had a spoon handy. And then maybe a little chocolate dust. I had some leftover Easter bunny that I just kind of shaved the chocolate from. And then we have this fancy, pretty little dessert. Like I said, if you don't have these neat little glass dishes, you can get those at the Dollar Tree, or you can just improvise. I just took a spoon and I just kind of swirled my whipped cream around here, and then you can do the same thing. You can layer your chocolate and your caramel deliciousness, and then some nuts and some more chocolate until you get what you want. And so that's kind of our crazy chocolate cake, our easy caramel syrup, and a nice fancy little dessert. Thanks for welcoming the Kingsville Public Library into your home today, and for joining me in mine. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share so that your friends can become our friends. If you've tried this recipe, please post a picture of it in the comments. We'd like to see how it went. And we'd love to hear your feedback. You can email us at reference@kingsvillelibrary.org. Remember, stay safe, stay well, practice that good social distancing, and we'll see you real soon. Are you mad? Well, you look mad. Are you mad because I said Judy's my best friend? I can have more than one best friend. Yes, I can. You're my best friend too. I still love you. Do you still love me? Do you?